Number 14 on my fantasy playlist of July 25th, 2004, man. One badass track, up 3 from 17. Petey Pablo with Freek-A-Leek, a huge hip hop record back in 2004, throwing down with all the bling and all the, well, everything that goes with a hip hop video. Fancy cars and beautiful women, and, well, the party just goes on and on. The gift just keeps on giving. And here we are in Hip Hop City at number 14 on my fantasy playlist, Petey Pablo, but it did not start out for him very promising. Was not very promising starting out for Petey Pablo. He was born Moses Barrett II in Greenville, North Carolina. 1993, he was busted and put in prison for armed robbery. Spent 5 years in the slam. But when he left prison, he went to New York City. He teamed up with Black Rob. He met Busta Rhymes, a prime rapper back in the day. Busta Rhymes. Woo-ha. And that song he did with Janet Jackson that was so huge in 1999. So, well, Petey Pablo, Moses Barrett to Petey Pablo, changed his name to Petey Pablo, was on a roll. He signed with Jive Records. His first album, he worked with Timberland, produced by Timberland. Raise Up, first single by Petey Pablo, went to number 25 on Billboard's Hot 100. And the second album was called Still Writing in My Diary, second entry by Petey Pablo. Supposed to have been released in 2002, but it wasn't released until 2004. Now, things get a little murky here. Here's what happened. Lil Jon produced Petey Pablo's second album. But before Lil Jon worked with Petey Pablo, he was cutting tracks for Mystical. Mystical was on the Jive record label by the early 2000s. You might remember Mystical. No Limit Records back in the day. Remember, he did Danger. Great video to Danger. And there was Shake Your You Know What. He did that. And boy, back, you remember No Limit Records, Masterpiece record label. It was, Mystical was on it. And Silk the Shaka. It Ain't My Fault. Did I do that? Remember that? Yes. Boy, it faded out pretty fast though. Master P pretty much eclipsed by people like 50 Cent back in the early 2000s, but I couldn't help but reminisce. Back to the story. Lil Jon cut 15 production tracks, 15 instrumental tracks for Mystical, but didn't use them. He set them aside. Jive Records took one of those tracks and gave it to Petey Pablo. They told Petey Pablo, hey, I got this sick track. It is hopping. This thing is jumping, man. Lay some rap on this track. And Petey Pablo, he cut Freek-A-Leek on top of Lil Jon's track. But there's one little thing. Lil Jon didn't know about it. Guess what happened? Lil Jon took the same set of beats and used it for Usher. He gave it to Usher to use in the song Yeah. Yeah and it was a rough track, but it was remastered. It was redone, produced. Lil Jon by Lil Jon. Lil Jon, an up-and-coming producer back in the early 2000s. With his work with the Yin Yang Twins, probably the king of crunk back in the mid 2000s, early to mid 2000s. But losing track of my story now. Where was I at? Lil Jon. Well, here's what happened. Lil Jon was in a recording session with Petey Pablo, and he found out that Petey Pablo used the very same rhythm track for Freek-A-Leek. Pablo played Freek-A-Leek to Lil Jon, and Lil Jon realized his mistake. And Lil Jon said, Petey Pablo said, you can't take this back. It's mine. The song is out. Freek-A-Leek's out. The hip-hop stations across the dirty South, they're jumping on this joint. And it's a hit. It's generating. Lil Jon, he went back to Usher, said, man, we're going to have to change the rhythm track in your song. Petey Pablo, Jive Records gave Petey Pablo the track. He's using it for Freek-A-Leek. And Lil Jon came up with a brand new instrumental track for Yeah. Jive Records released Freek-A-Leek as the first single. Went to number 6, number 7 on Billboard's Hot 100. At number 14 on my fantasy playlist, Petey Pablo with Freek-A-Leek. Fantasy playlist of July 25th, 2004.